But with Gareth Jones then, were you aware of him and the whole Holodomor famine before you embarked on the film?
No, embarrassingly not really. It's one of those stories which you read and you can't quite believe that. Well, Gareth's story in itself is extraordinary enough to be known far and wide, and should be. The fact that one man was the first person to single-handedly blow the whistle on the Soviet Union and Stalin's atrocities, and then ultimately pay the price. With the ultimate price of his life. So that sacrifice, that bravery and sort of the simplicity of his journey, trying to find truth amongst kind of all this chaos and fake news, and amazing and very, very relevant story. So that, in one sense, is a complete eye-opener and a shock not to know. And what was even more shocking was the fact that I didn't really know, embarrassingly, much about the Holodomor at all. Having spent, school, a lot of history and, parts of university learning about the Holocaust and knowing masses and masses about that. And obviously it's much easier to pinpoint exactly what that was. This was systematic genocide of an entire people. But the Holodomor being so much more under the surface and not yet recognised by the international community, it was a real shock not to know about the Holodomor and the scale of it, the numbers which some historians talk about is so both slightly brought about a certain amount of shame, but then also it was very exciting to know that we were doing a film which was going to shed light on something which was deeply important. And when we were in Ukraine, the reaction we had from those people there when we told them that we were doing a film about the Holodomor was so humbling and very powerful and really exciting for us. Yeah,
I mean, how did you go about researching the research for the part then? Was it something you did went online like GarethJones.org, or was it something you just got from Agnieszka?
Yeah, I mean, it's a mixture always. The film, Andrea, the writer, is very, very well versed on this period, and she's very in touch with the family. So we had family members, we had private email correspondence with certain members of the family. We obviously had that incredible resource which the Gareth, the website put together by his family, and all the letters, all his notebooks, and there are actually quite a significant number of books written about him, even though he's not particularly well known generally. But what you can spend days, weeks, and say years kind of going into the kind of academic research and go deep into it. What was most valuable for me, beyond knowing the sort of facts of the story and the actual journey he went on, were the more kind of domestic little snippets we garnered from the letters and the reports from his great aunt, I think, described in one of the letters to Andrea how he was with children, not having any children of his own, but his nieces and nephews when he came back to Wales, and he was very, very playful and quite immature, and was sort of, the kids loved him because he was their playful older uncle who, was only about 28, 27 when this happened. But that for me was very valuable because, you hear about this very serious, very earnest journalist on this mission to uncover the truth, but you don't necessarily hear so much about the private man. And we were very keen to bring out a sort of naivety, but also a sense of humour and a warmth and so I think and sort of an awkwardness, a slightly gauche side to him, which is not apparent in all literature. But we had a wealth. We were spoiled.
We even spoke to, not me, my editor, we spoke to Gareth Jones' great nephew, Graham Colley, and he's saying that the family are so impressed with your performance. So you nailed it for them.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. That actually means a lot. Thanks. Because we met a lot of them, and a lot of them came to various screenings. But in the kind of chaos of those screenings, there's always press and photos and family and friends. And so you have these you grab these kind of short conversations with members of the family. But to know that is great, because it's always a bit nerve-wracking when you play someone who has lived, and particularly someone who's lived as recently as Gareth, and have so many relatives who know and love him or his story, and you have a responsibility to honour that memory, as well as make it your own. You can't just do a sort of mimicry. You can't just do an impression of the person. You have to find your own relationship with him whilst honouring the memory. So good to know that the family were on side. So
and I've got to mention obviously the accent of the Welsh accent. It's quite convincing. It's very convincing. How did you go about learning and practicing the accent and also the mother tongue as well? So I mean, it's obviously Welsh is not easy. Cymraeg is not easy.
No. I had a great Welsh accent. I had a great dialect coach on the movie who was there for sort of all the big chunks of the big dialogue scenes.
Yeah.
Embarrassingly, I've completely forgotten her name. She was amazing. And then I had some on set there were some fantastic Welsh actors. Like
Colin Jones. Yeah, I know Colin. Yeah.
Yeah, who was wonderful. And the guy who played my dad as well was Julian Lewis-Jones. Amazing. And he was really useful in giving me the Welsh language because he's a fluent speaker. So we wanted to. It was a bit like we wanted to honour the fact that he was Welsh, of course, because that was such an important fundamental part of him and his journey, and it also just adds to the bizarre nature of the fact that he was this kind of this Welsh, quite short, bespectacled man who studied in Cardiff and off to Cambridge, but the journey he went on to get to Moscow, like he was sort of halfway there. He really, and the fact that his family, we nod to the fact that he was from a very remote part of Wales and on the coast and the coastal village. But the accent was particularly unnerving when you're filming with Welsh accents. You just feel deeply self-conscious about borrowing their language and their sound. But they were really, people like Sean and Julian were so useful. And when someone took it to me, it was like a Welsh-speaking journalist, a Welsh-speaking man who speaks fluent Russian, and if you can do it with a Welsh accent, great, but also speak fluent Welsh, and you'll be speaking both Welsh and Russian, all with it just when I read that, I was like, you know what I mean, like when you, that was a massive challenge, but one I love.
But I must say though, James, because with Gareth, you sort of pull it off really impressively, more so for the accent, because it's not taking the piss Welsh, you know what I mean? It's like Leeds and Wales. It's but when you say Wales, you could hear the Welsh come out, but because obviously with Gareth going to Cambridge and being away, working in London and everything, it's sort of the English accent comes out more so, or do you know what I mean? But when you mention the word Wales in the film, it's like that's how it would be for anyone that's moved from Wales to England. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we wanted exactly that. We wanted to make sure that it was present, but it wasn't, distracting. We wanted to make sure that, when he was in Wales and in that latter the sort of third chapter, it was sort of, we wanted to heighten it and tone it up a little bit as you would do. I mean, the likelihood is he was probably speaking Welsh when he was with his dad at home anyway. But there were a few scenes actually in that section of the film which as is always the case in movies, which were cut, but there was a lot more Welsh in the original cut, and inevitably things had to be sort of shrunk down. But exactly that. We wanted to make sure that it was present, but not like distracting, and just give it that flavour, and also acknowledge the fact that if he was going to survive in that world of Cambridge and international journalism, if he'd gone in with a really thick Welsh accent, people would have probably, it would have been distracting for them. It wouldn't necessarily understood him. So he would have had to conform as well a little bit, and so we wanted to make sure that it wasn't comic, but it was there and very much part of his person.
I spoke to Agnieszka Holland last week. I think she was in France or Poland. I can't remember. Very, very inspiring lady. Was there anything? Gosh, she is. I mean, was there anything particular that you learned from her while you were on set with her?
Wow. I mean, she was, an is an inspiring lady. I didn't realise how much of an icon she is. She's such a representative for the sort of liberal democracy and the left in Poland. You know, they see her so much more than just a director. And that became very apparent, particularly in the evenings when we were in kind of the deep, dark northern parts of Ukraine, and it was east to the east, and we'd all be it was amazing experience actually. We'd all be sort of huddled into these weird hotels, and one of the producers would always somehow magic up a bottle of vodka, and we'd have plates of herring, and it was snowing outside, and we'd be all very rosy faced after really, you know, because it was brutal filming, and all that stuff out in Ukraine was as is. It was the beast for me. We were filming in minus 15 with a wind chill of minus 25 with serious costumes. So I had like electronic thermal underneath. I had battery powered thermal. It was so cold.
So it was like Barbados.
Yeah, exactly. It was very diverse. But then in the evenings we'd all sort of huddle in, and what was amazing was Agnieszka, with a, you know, not necessarily with a glass of vodka, but just in general, she just loves to talk about politics, and she gets so fired up with her film and her movie and the Gareth story and all that. But when it comes to the current slide to the populist right and the protecting of liberal democracy and the role of journalism and free press, and it was inspired. And you know, she also loves a bit of a debate. We had some fairly furious debates as well as I just sat and listened to her, because she's made, and you know, she's probably nearly, you know, late 60s. I'm not exactly sure how old she is, but she's
71, I think,
and fired up. 71. I mean,
I think so. Yeah.
She would wear these like three coats. And she would end up with coats because she's very short. She had this huge, like round, some tiny lady, but surrounded with this like goose down coat. Yeah. And then sitting by the monitor waiting for the shot to be ready. Never ever complaining. One of my favourite memories of the shoot was she'd sit there in silence waiting for it, and we'd all be there kind of huddled together like penguins trying to keep warm. Yeah. And Agnieszka would suddenly just start singing a song, like an old Polish folk song. Okay. And suddenly everyone around her, because the crews are made up of Ukrainians, Russians, Poles, me, I was the only Brit. I was in the middle of all these like languages being thrown around. No one spoke any English. But the Poles and certain members of the Russian crew who've been in Poland suddenly started singing with her. And within about 20 seconds, like, you had the whole crew singing this song at the top of their lungs, all surrounding Agnieszka. And then, you know, come to an end and we'd sit in silence again. But she was always just like, she was our leader, properly rallying us together, singing songs. It was a real amazing. I have an immense amount of love and respect for that lady. She's the real deal.
I've just got to start a quick question on not about the film, but what made you go to university or go to study theology? What was the reasoning behind that?
Wow, it was a long time ago. Kind of dig my. I mean, when I was looking for a degree, I studied history and English and theology at A-level, and I just really enjoyed having been at a Catholic school and been very exposed to the sort of Benedictine faith. A lot of it was a school run by monks, and we had these incredible minds and debates, and I just was fascinated by the idea of faith. And then when I went to study at Cambridge, the theology degree was so interdisciplinary. It offered so much more than just the Christian theology. It actually, we had metaphysics and papers on imagination and art. It was so wide and interdisciplinary that, and it always has and will remain something which has fascinated me. Probably partly down to my school and having travelled in India and Nepal and been exposed to a lot of Eastern religion. That was also something which kind of I was keen to explore. But it was always from the point of view of interest rather than, a lot of the people of my degree were there from the sort of premise of faith, going into a role as an ordinand or a religious leader in their particular church. And I was very much studying it from the point of view of interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just of interest.
I think, I would encourage many people to study theology. I think the more understanding we have around institutionalized religion, the more acceptance, and, it's such a kind of complicated and often brilliant, wonderfully rewarding, but potentially dangerous world, as we know, and it can be at the heart of many conflicts. And the more we know and understand it, and the better, I think. But,
yeah. So you don't have to be, I say it's always good that you don't have to be religious, just have an interest in theology, because it makes you more aware of the current climate, isn't it?
Oh, well, I mean, half the people in my degree didn't have a faith. They were simply studying it from the point of view of interest in academia, yeah.
Shit, okay, that's interesting. And then obviously you went to RADA. Bit of a change.
Yeah, it was a bit of a change. I always loved acting from the moment I remember, like, being sort of 5, 6, being in the school nativity and playing Joseph. I don't know where it came from, because my family aren't religious, aren't into acting at all.
Okay.
And it was just there. And then RADA, when I was at university, I was very lucky to meet a young director who encouraged me to apply and saying, I think she allowed my very far-fetched dream, which always felt quite childish, to become a more mature, an adult reality. And suddenly I was on the way to RADA, and there's no turning back, really. And then it suddenly did switch from being, as I say, this kind of slightly, often adult teachers would sort of pat you on the head, slightly condescending way, going, you'll grow out of that kind of dream. And suddenly, when you're on your way to drama school in London, it's far more than a dream. And
it's more serious,
yeah, never look back.
And but you didn't finish it, though, did you? I think I saw in Jonathan Ross, you didn't finish RADA, did you? You sort of, but then again, it's probably for the best reasons, because I'm speaking to you now. But is it any sort of regrets there that you didn't sort of stick it, finish it for the last 6 months, or?
No, not at all. I mean, to be honest, the whole point of training is that you are started off on the right foot, and you get every opportunity to work, and it's a means to an end as far as preparing you for the industry. And there was a slightly odd moment at the end when they wanted me to stay, and I was sort of telling them, well, I've been offered this role at the Royal Court, and it's an amazing play called Posh by Laura Wade. It's really exciting. It was then made them to film The Riot Club. And everyone in the industry I asked said, of course you've got to do it, because it was a great first job. And had I not done it, I wasn't guaranteed to get anything as good 6 months later when I finished. So I was a little surprised when the school suggested that I stay, but it actually all turned out fine. And there was a moment when the school were a little bit difficult, but they now, as soon as the play was here, they were always very supportive of it, and it all worked out for the best, I think.
Yeah, maybe they'll give you an honorary sort of, pass at some point in the future,
I think they did. They did. They invited us. It was me and this other guy called Josh who was in the play, and they when it came to graduation and the play had done very well, we were invited back to graduate. So it was all good. We ended up finishing something.
The thing is, James, you've got the caliber, so you've got the talent. So nice one. Okay. Well, thank you.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, mate.
I hope I'll see you in another departure land somewhere in as exotic as Barbados.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, I'll keep an eye out for you. But no doubt we'll bump into each other again. So, all right, mate. Nice one.
Thanks.
Enjoy your day, James.
Take care.
Thanks, mate. Nice one, mate. Cheers. Thank you. Bye bye.